Top man.
On to maybe the future of darts. You know, you've got two camps at the moment that are very, very deeply entrenched. You know, at the top end, at the board level, it would appear, you know, the players, they just want to play darts. Players I've spoken to, they don't care if they're playing a BDO player or a PDC player. They just want to hammer the board. But it's at the top end where all the problems and conflicts seem to arise. Do you ever see anything moving forward? Maybe a loose agreement, a loose cooperation, you know, if not a merger?
Well, Barry made an offer to the BDO counties to tie up something like that, but become like a feeder for the PDC. But I think it's almost become that as it is anyway. The players seem to achieve things in the BDO, do well, and then they're tempted by the bigger prize money in the television and want to move on virtually straight away. So I think inadvertently it has become a feeder for the PDC already. So I don't honestly think they'll ever do an official tie-up. I think they'll just carry on the way it is, unless the BDO get some new tournaments and televise some new stuff and actually offer incentives for the boys to stay in the BDO.
Yeah, now the PDC are running the youth tour as well, which the BDO did run and ran it very well. You know, had events all around the country. So it's got to be eating into that.
Well, I mean, that's the beautiful thing about the BDO. You know, since the early 70s, they've looked after everybody involved in that. It's not just the top players, the top names, the youth, and the inter-county youth and the international youth, and they have World Cups for the youth. You know, everything's done for everybody in darts, and the BDO should be commended for that, and they still want to do that. And obviously, the youth, again, and they're not being cherry-picked, they're going because they want to, and the exposure and, you know, the proper World Championships for them, there's prize money there now as well, so you can see why even the youth are drifting over. So, again, the BDO need to change something to try and keep everybody where they are in the BDO.
Do you think the BDO are actually likely to change anything with the board that they have? You know, I'm just looking at their respective ages and how long they've been doing what they're doing, the way they do it. Do you think they're capable of change, or do you think they need an injection of younger blood, somebody with a wider view?
Well, the thing is, obviously, with people who join the board when things change, I mean, they don't change very often, but they come from within the BDO system anyway. Somebody's not just going to come from outside. And so they've got to go through the BDO system anyway, the counties, and obviously they're going to be well known to the current board. And it's going to be difficult, really, unless there's a complete overhaul, for things to change too much, because everyone grows up with the way the system that works at the moment. It's difficult to change unless you change everything. Ollie should be really commended and his team for the way they've brought darts through, but obviously it's a new era in darts and possibly needs a change, some new blood, some new ideas. I mean, again, going back to finances, it's difficult for anybody to come in and generate prize money and sponsorship. But without it, I think we're going to struggle, to be honest.
Yeah, the financing side of it is precarious at the moment, without doubt. You know, we notice on the PDC side, sponsors coming through at the 11th hour for major tournaments. Last year, Riley's did the Open. This year, Speedy Hire came through.
But again, that's down to Barry Hearn. He's got the contacts and he's got the know-how and the genius to find it, even at that last minute. So it's a shame there's not 2 or 3 more Barry Hearns knocking about, to be honest.
Yeah, there must be somebody out there that's, you know... Well, this is where I find, if they were prepared to cooperate, you know, you'd have somebody like Barry Hearn who would be doing this on the BDO side as well, and doing the top end of the BDO as the PDC do it, and the guys that run the counties, you know, who do the work week in, week out, still doing that job, and that's where I feel it could actually work.
Well, I mean, obviously that would be brilliant if somebody would come forward, but I don't think anyone within the BDO is actively going to chase anybody, because, as I said, it's like an institution, and it's done a certain way, and I don't think they'd accept change. It wouldn't need a total, excuse me, they wouldn't need a total overhaul, and I can't see that at the moment. I mean, we did hear a rumour on the tour that Mr. Warren was interested, Frankie Warren.
That would be interesting.
yeah, again, obviously there'd be a bit of a rivalry there with Barry, so that made things really interesting. But again, it was just a rumour, nothing's come of it. So, but somebody like him, somebody with a bit of know-how with promoting events and stuff, would be brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, the benefit to darts would be immense.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Well, I think we've done that one to death. So we move on again to something which could be controversial, is how the status of both the World Championships are perceived by the general public. You have Lakeside, which has been there again since God was a lad, you know, the successor to Jollies.
Yeah.
And now you've got Ali Pali, who the history is the News of the World tournament, the successor to Circus Tavern. But many people feel, because of the perceived strength of the PDC field, that Ali Pali is now the real World Championship rather than Lakeside. What's your take on this?
Well, a lot of people are always asking me, why is the PDC so strong? And I can answer them quite simply, because it's full of BDO players.
Yeah,
until recently, and most of the, I don't know, the top 12 that's over there now, obviously Phil's, he did dabble in the BDO in the early days, and most of the guys
he won two Lakesides.
Yeah, that's right, well, he dabbled more than I put it out. And yeah, I mean, obviously Phil didn't really stay long in the BDO, but for most of the guys that are there and doing well at the moment, in the last 4 years, say, we're all BDO players. So obviously the PDC is really strong at the moment with their own homebred players and the BDO lads that's gone over. I think standard-wise, the early rounds, I don't think there's any difference.
No, the first round at Ali Pali, to be honest, can be a bit of a bore fest.
Yeah.
And the prelim, well, they could be shockers. Yeah,
but I mean, obviously, they call it their World Championship. I mean, I think 64 players is far too many for a World Championship, but I don't know. I mean, obviously, you've got Phil. When Barney's on form, he's great. Gary Hanson's over there now playing brilliant. So, I mean, obviously, Martin Evans has played brilliant in the BDO the last couple of years. He's won virtually everything. But he gets beat regularly on the tour. Other events we have in Holland and that, he doesn't win them. So the players are there to beat Martin. So we've got plenty of good players. It's just that we need to go and show it. And I don't know, maybe with the current climate, we're not as happy as we could be. Maybe that affects us, I don't know. But certainly, I mean, I would never knock any event. I mean, the PDC put on a great spectacular, whatever they do. I mean, the one coming up soon at Blackpool, I mean, that's a great week's television. I love it, you know what I mean? And I'm a video player, so... Yeah, but again, for me, the Lakeside, the venue, the crowd, it's still the main event for me. Even though the crowds are bigger, the money's bigger, etc. in the PDC, for me, the Lakeside is still the main championship.
Yeah, I'd much rather, if I'm going to watch darts live, be at Lakeside than at the Ali Pali. So I personally don't see the point in sitting 300 yards away from the stage and watching it on a very big screen. I'd rather be close enough to see the stage and feel actually involved in the whole atmosphere of the thing. That's why for me it's a better venue.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot smaller, obviously, but you just can't beat that atmosphere at the Lakeside. And tradition means a lot within the BDO. And as I said, it's a bit like an institution. Everyone always talks about the darts at Christmas, and the first one we think about is the Lakeside. So, yeah, I mean, obviously there's great points about both and probably drawbacks on both. But, yeah, for me, the Lakeside still just would be classed as the main one for me.
No problem. You mentioned Martin Adams in that, and the way he's, you know, at the moment he's winning the majors over here on the stage. But he's
dominating,
Yeah, he's getting beat on the tour, which is fair enough. Do you feel that part of the reason why he is dominating in the majors is that he's got the most TV experience, and the lads coming through just don't get that experience?
You hit it right on the nail there. Like I say, on the floor there's no cameras. He loses quite often, to be honest, but put him on the big stage, he's got the experience, and like you say, he's played on TV since the early 90s. And as I say, one of the good things about the BDO is we get new players through every year, new stars coming through, but they've only played once or twice on TV, and when it comes to a big match, I mean, even players like me probably affects, even though I've been around for 10 years, I still haven't had as much TV exposure as I should have had. So, yeah, you hit it right on the nail there. That's definitely... I mean, the fact is he's playing well as well because of the confidence he's got.
Yeah,
so it's up to us to try and get round him.
Yeah, he's not called Mr. Consistent for nothing.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, he will plod at that 95 odd average most of the time, and with that experience behind him against a newcomer or a relatively inexperienced player, it is no surprise that they struggle to keep up. They can spurt, but they just can't do it over the long distance.
Yeah, one set, maybe two sets, and then the big game. That's where it matters, and he's got bags of it, and he's going to be difficult to shift.
Well, I think we've pretty much covered everything, unless you can think of anything else.
No, again, obviously, it's coming to the time of year where we are busy, and obviously, I've been batting around now for a few years. I'd love to win one, but as we just said, it's Mr. Adams. We've got to try and shake off. So it's up to all of us to get his heads down and put a bit more effort in, I think.
Yeah, and put Mr. Adams under some pressure.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. You know, too easy the last 3 years.
well, I've noticed his hands have stopped shaking, so you want to make that shake again.
Yeah, well, mind you, his bank account's a bit bigger now as well, so that might have something to do with it.
Well, yeah, he's earned himself a fair few bob.
Exactly, yeah.
And fair play.
Good luck to him, yeah.
On that point, though, I'm just going to rewind a bit. Talked about Martin Adams earning a few bob. Top prize at Lakeside is 100,000. Runners-up is 30. Do you feel that's a little bit top-heavy?
Obviously, I think we put it to 100,000 to try and match what the PDC were offering, which for 1 year I think was the same. It was probably 200, 250 this year for the PDC. So I think we should forget about trying to compete for the prize money because we just can't do it. And saying that, then maybe they should rebalance the money and maybe drop the first prize a touch and, like you say, spread it further down. I mean, it costs a fortune to play the whole year to actually get to the Lakeside, and then it costs so much to actually stay there. I mean, you know what I mean? There's so many pressures while you're down there, and then if you get beat the first second round, it's probably you're not even covering what it costs you to do the whole year. So yeah, it needs to be looked at across the board, the prize money, I think. So I mean, obviously I was runner up a couple of years ago, and although I was really excited to get a cheque for 30,000, I was a bit peeved when Ted was under. So I thought, could have done with a bit of a levying up there.
Unless you decide between you two split or divvy the prize regardless, then you're okay. Well, but I don't think there's a lot of that goes on anymore.
No, I think you did in the old days, but no, not in the big events now. No.
Well, again, Tony, thanks a lot for doing this for the dartsforum.com. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, and I know.
And you, Matty.
I know that the guys who listen to this are going to really enjoy it, and your honest views. Would it be okay to catch up maybe after the Masters and the Grand Slam and like do a follow up on your take on how it all went?
That'd be my pleasure, Martin. It's been my pleasure as well, mate. And hopefully I've got a big cup to tell you about after them two events.
Yeah, that'd be great, and the World Cup as well.
Oh, of course, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's only a small one.
Thanks again, Martin. No problem, mate.
And you take care, Tone. Great talking to you, mate.
Thank you, pal. All the best, mate.
Cheers, mate.